Hello, and welcome to this presentation on mindfulness and grounding techniques. I'm Tessa, and I work within the Nottingham City CAMS team. Today, I hope to give you an introduction to mindfulness, what it is, why it's important, and how to do it. This year has been a really difficult one for all of us, but it's been especially difficult for those who struggle with change and unpredictability. It's been a scary and sometimes intolerable world for a lot of young people, which I'm sure has led to a lot of meltdowns and shutdowns. This presentation is going to aim to tell you a little bit about mindfulness and why it may be helpful and some practical grounding techniques. So I hope you enjoy it.
So, what is mindfulness, I hear you ask? And how will it help me and my young person? Mindfulness is a way of relaxing the mind and giving the brain a break, something we could all do with from time to time. Mindfulness is a way to manage when feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Mindfulness can help with anxiety, anger, mood, tension, stress, sleep, and some physical problems as well. So here are some facts. Mindfulness and grounding is not a special added thing you have to remember to do, like drink a smoothie or do some lunges or lift weights. You don't need to change who you are. Anyone can do it. And actually, everyone can benefit, and it's really easy to learn. However, it is important to practice, especially to practice when you and your child are calm. There is no point in suddenly trying to get your child to do this for the first time when they're in the middle of a meltdown. When they're in the middle of a meltdown, their brains aren't able to take in any new information. So it's important to start practicing these techniques when they're in a calm place. If you practice this a lot, then when they're calm and happy, then the information starts to get saved. Therefore, when they start getting towards a meltdown, you can start the mindfulness or grounding routine. And hopefully it will be something their brains and bodies have remembered. It's predictable and known. So if we look at the thermometer on the PowerPoint, you want to be introducing mindfulness to your child when they're in the green zone. The green zone is a chilled place where everyone is feeling pretty happy and calm. This is where you introduce mindfulness and practice it so it's familiar, it's predictable, it's routine for them. Now let's go to the other extreme and move right up the thermometer to the red zone. The red zone is full meltdown mode. This is not the time to be trying mindfulness. Their emotions will be super high and their brains won't be thinking rationally. They will have shut down to what you're saying. So where we want to focus on is that yellow stage. This is where you should be noticing your child's triggers, and that's really important. If you notice that your child is going from green into yellow, this is the time to be adding in mindfulness as a coping strategy. Where your child might be starting to struggle, but they're still able to listen and understand what you might be saying. Our brains are magnificent things. They keep us alive without us even having to think about it. And part of that is perceiving danger. When our brains think we're in danger, it triggers a flight or fight response in our bodies, which means it prepares our body to either run away from the danger or to stand and face it. Now, this is a very helpful thing when we're in danger. Now, let's put that into perspective for you and your child. If you have a child who, say, has autism, then their brain may see danger differently or more intensely compared to a neurotypical child. Change is a really big one. Change in routine, no matter how small, can trigger their brain to suddenly say, this is different, this is scary, we can't cope with this. It could be a change of plans, a change in food, a change in teacher, or even changing from one lesson to another. The benefit of using mindfulness when it seems like their brains are starting to shout that it's all too much is that we can help the young person calm down. Mindfulness is an evidence-based technique, which means there's a lot of research out there saying that this does work. It can have positive benefits on our health, happiness, and relationships. The definition of mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that actually sounds really, really difficult to me. But in its most basic form, it's about being able to tolerate difficult emotions and bringing yourself back to the present moment. In regards to your children, it's about being able to pull them back into the here and now. Neurodiverse children, when coming up against something difficult, they can go into full meltdowns or shutdowns. What we want to be able to do by practicing mindfulness with them is to help them be able to manage their feelings and not escalate into a full meltdown. So take a look at the image on the screen. When your child is starting to move up that thermometer that we looked at earlier, their brains will be beginning to look like the man in the image. It is cluttered. It is sensory overload. It is too difficult to manage. What we want to do by using mindfulness is to give them a chance at clearing that clutter, to be able to be in the present moment and manage those emotions. Now, I've talked a lot, so I'd like to try something with you. Hopefully you'll be in a quiet place where you'll be able to relax, but I know that isn't always easy being at home. I'm going to talk you through a mindfulness technique that I'd like you to do with me as I talk it through. So here we go. Take a breath. Notice your hands. Are your hands tense? Are they feeling tight? See if you can allow them to soften. Now notice your arms. Do you feel any sensation in your arms? Let your shoulders fall and be soft. Notice your neck and throat. Let them be soft, relaxed. Now notice your jaw. Is there tension there? Try soften it. Let your face and facial muscles be soft. Then notice your whole body present. Take one more breath. Be aware of your whole body as best you can. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So the idea of that technique is to get you back into your body, to be noticing what's going on inside your body and to try relax it. I hope you can now understand why this needs to be practiced when you and your young person are both feeling pretty chilled. I also have some grounding techniques for you. Again, these techniques are about trying to help the young person come back into the present if they're starting to become anxious and overwhelmed. One I personally love is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So with this, you need to get your young person to name 5 things they can see, 4 things they can touch, 3 things they can hear, 2 things they can smell, and 1 thing they can taste. If this is a little too complex for your child, then you can always try colours. Get them to pick a colour, or you can pick one for them, and get them to try tell you as many things as they can in the room of that colour. Other grounding tools can be used, such as strong scents or something with a texture that your child likes. I know sometimes things like lip balm, blue tack, hand cream or cotton wool are all really helpful. However, you must make sure that these things your child is comfortable with. If touching hand cream is actually a really strong trigger for your child, then you wouldn't use hand cream. We're trying to use objects that can help the young person be in the here and now. Box breathing is another really helpful tool. It's really simple and I'd like you to give it a go with me now. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4 and breathe out for 4. If the count of 4 is too long for your child, then you can shorten it. But remember, it's about trying to get them to regulate their breathing so that they aren't doing quick panicked breathing. So do it with me now. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 4. And when you breathe out, make some noise. Really notice that breath leaving your body and try breathe out with it, all that tension. So let's get started. Mindful.org has a huge collection of mindfulness practices to follow. Also links to the research on the impact of mindfulness, which some of you may find interesting. There are tons of apps out there. A favourite in our family is Headspace, which has many mindfulness practices to follow. I aim to do 5 minutes as I get into bed, or sometimes when I've just woken up, or when I feel quite flappy and anxious, as it helps me come back into the here and now. The beauty of mindfulness is that there's no need for equipment. You can literally do it anywhere, anytime. If your child is starting to get into the yellow zone on the thermometer, then sit down with them and start your grounding techniques. It is possible to do this out and about and not just at home. It's also a really helpful one for you parents. When you start feeling yourself creep up into that yellow or red zone, then take yourself out of the situation for 5 minutes and do the mindfulness exercise we did together. Or if you can't remove yourself from the situation, then break out the box breathing. Even if your child is in a meltdown, you can help keep yourself calm by keeping your breathing calm and keeping yourself in the present moment.
And that's the end of today's presentation. I hope it's been of some use to you. It's always important to remember that with techniques like mindfulness, it takes time and practice. It may not work the first time or the second or even the third, but keep trying. It does work. The world is not geared up for the neurodiverse, but this year especially has been so challenging. So be kind to yourselves and be kind to your children. You're doing great. And finally, I'd like to point you towards our CAMS resources. We have an Instagram account and we have a YouTube channel. And if you search for Nottingham City CAMS, then you will find some really amazing videos covering all sorts of topics for both young people and you parents. It's really worth having a look. And thanks for joining me today.